Yes. You're now tuned in to Address That Handling You podcast with your host, Mr. C. Happy New Year to all those that are out and about. I hope everybody has a successful, prosperous, and healthy 2023. Today, I will be discussing a topic I visited a few times, but I recently heard a news article, or I heard a news blog where they was talking about the mayor of New York and his proposal to combat the mental health problem in New York. And I just wanted to briefly touch on that. Being a ex-resident of New York, I had my fair share of people with mental health issues. I deal with people with mental health issues on a regular. I have a extensive career and experience working with people with mental, developmental, and behavioral issues. So, listening to this news vlog, it caught my interest because I've been saying that New York, not just New York, but a lot of places, but New York in general, it's out in the open. You can see the mental health crisis that's going on out there. There's been, situations where people have been pushed off trains. People have been just attacked randomly in the middle of the street, broad daylight. And I knew living in New York eventually was going to get worse. And I'm going to tell you why, just from a personal perspective. I used to work for the state of New York at one point in my life, and I did 8 years. I gave them 8 years of my professionalism. But I'm saying that to say this, that I worked for the state of New York, working with people with developmental disabilities as well as behavior problems. And trust me, that was a very tedious job because I've dealt with individuals that would come at you or try to attack you if you wasn't careful, And I've dealt with that numerous years. I've had individuals spit at me. I had individuals throw feces at me. I've had individuals try to bite me. All types of things I could name that I've experienced in that field. In the beginning of my journey, I tried to get a employment with the behavioral part of the mental health spectrum. And at one point, there's places like Randall's Island, Bronx House, just different areas where you had to work with individuals that was psychotically, mentally ill. Now, when you're dealing with developmental disability, that is a spectrum where individuals were born like that, or they was diagnosed, I believe, before the age of 22 to have high functioning, low functioning mental illness. Now, the difference between developmental disabilities and mental psychiatric spectrum is with developmental disabilities, like I stated before, those are individuals that was born with a defect. And then also individuals that was functioning at one point at a low spectrum, but eventually it got worse. And before the age of 22, they was diagnosed with developmental disability. So with the mental psychiatric, this is like they're dealing with people that deal with psychosis or deal with psychiatric or psychotic behavior. And when I worked for the state of New York, both facilities were state. And I wanted to work in those facilities, but I believe in 2013, 2014, New York was talking about closing some of these facilities down to cut on spending. And I thought to myself, I said, where are these people going to go if that's the case? And nobody ever thought about that. I guess not. I guess they was like, we'll handle it when it comes. But, excuse me. Excuse me. Now it has become a big problem. And now it's out of control to the point where I don't think New York could recover. That's just my honest opinion, because these individuals that's running out in the streets, they have nowhere to go. Some of them are blessed to go through a shelter system. But at the end of the day, a lot of them, majority of them, are in the streets, walking amongst us. You know what I'm saying? People that got to go to work, especially in New York City where they have public transportation. Through my experience in New York, I've ran across individuals. I've seen the weirdest things, such as an individual masturbating across the platform, looking at a lady across from him, across the platform. And he was visibly out there jerking off. And I'm like, what's going on? And then you had some individuals that come on a train and ask for money, but they'll say a story like, oh, I got AIDS, I'm just trying to get something to eat. Now imagine being on a crowded train, like it's packed in the train like sardines, and an individual just comes out of nowhere, comes through the train and says something like that in front of people. You think of the Red Sea parting. When I used to see individuals say things like that, the train would be packed, but for some strange reason, it was a path that was led for him to walk to the next car and ask people for change or food or whatever. And it used to hurt my feelings because I hate to see human beings suffering. I don't know these individuals' plight, what they did, what they didn't do, but you know, to see a human being walking on a train with no shoes on, smelling like I don't know what, asking for help. And at one point, there was help for these individuals. But now, being that the cutbacks cut those funding, those situations, individuals are walking around hurting people. I've seen videos of people being pushed off the platform. I can't imagine what it's like right now, because at one point I used to take the trains consecutively all the time, and I used to see the weirdest things. I done seen train cars empty, and then you get on the car and you realize why it's empty, because it smells like a bathroom. Somebody's laying there, mostly men that's got their hand in their pants, acting or sleeping, and it's like, what's this about? You know, and why aren't the authorities making sure that they keep those types of people away from the public as far as laying on the train? Then I've known individuals that live under the subway system and live better than some people upstairs. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just speaking on some things that's going on, and In 2014, 2015, me and my team, we was discussing the behavioral mental health issue that was going on in America. And there was a lot of mass shootings recently and things of that nature. And some of these people are so disturbed that they can't cope with life, and they act out on individuals that had nothing to do with their situation. And, when New York cut back on the funding for those facilities and shut them facilities down, these individuals was left to roam the streets. Some of these dudes are ex-criminals that couldn't stand trial or be fit for trial, so they was labeled mentally incompetent. So when you're dealing with when you're dealing with that type of population, that's very dangerous when it's out in the public, because they're not being treated, they're not being monitored. So they are left to roam the streets and hurt innocent civilians that have nothing to do with them and their problem. And I don't believe it's fair. I believe it's a negligence on the state of New York to allow that to happen. And I just don't understand how they allowed that to happen. I do understand to a degree, but I really don't understand why this is happening. And hearing today's news, I wanted to touch on this because I've been said that there would be a problem if they don't control this situation, and now the mayor's proposing to pick out a group of people that are living in the streets and have them go to the hospital to be treated. Now, all that's going to really do is put weight on the medical field, because at the end of the day, they have enough to worry about. There's a surge in COVID and all this other stuff, and, that's going to wear and tear the doctors down if you just bring in individuals from the streets. And then what if these individuals that you bring in from the street to the hospital, some of them ain't going to let you take them. It's going to be an incident. And it's like, the issue's going to be bigger than what it really is, because a lot of these individuals they're so used to panhandling on the streets, they're so used to sleeping on the streets. It's like, after you bring them to the hospital, you would have to bring them to like a Bellevue hospital where they deal with psychiatric issues or psychiatric individuals that pose a threat to the public. And if you don't have enough of those facilities like that, it's going to be hard to help individuals, because after you treat them, what's next? Are you going to find a place for them to live, or are you going to put them in a facility, or what happens? Because it's over. I want to say it's over 10,000 people that roam the streets of New York City with psychiatric issues. And all it takes is one trigger to get an eruption. And that's a very scary thing, because, like I said, these individuals don't have no pause, no chill button. They're just quick to push you off the ledge and go about their business. And, you have people scared now. Like, people are really scared and they fearful. People's been attacked. One man got shot. I've heard of a man getting stabbed, or, One incident that I did see that was really disturbing was the one that happened in Queens. Young lady was headed to work. This man was harassing her, but the video footage was so horrific. And this is why I believe the media plays a part in putting fear into people, because in the era I grew up in, there was vigilante justice. There's no way I'm going to see a woman getting beat up by a man and kicked and stomped, and I don't do nothing. That's crazy to me. Unless the individual's got a knife, I'm gonna try to find some help. Or if he's pistol whipping her or whatever the case may be, I'll probably find a police officer and get her some help. But if he got nothing in his hands, like this man that this young lady ran across had psychiatric or psychotic behavior. His rap sheet was he killed his stepmother or grandmother and beat her to death. So this dude got anger issues. This dude should never be on the streets. But anyway, he sees her. He chases her down. She runs and falls. When she falls, this man kicks her and stomps on her and then punches on her like she's a dude in the yard in the jail somewhere. And one individual tried to intervene, but I guess he wasn't built like that because when the dude turned around and was barking, he ran. And I was like, yo, who is this dude? Because if that was your mother or somebody that you love, I know you wouldn't want nobody to run on them. And to see what that man did to that lady, he traumatized that lady for life. This lady is probably a mother, a wife, a daughter, and this crazy lunatic, that's what he was. His rap sheet was long, and he was supposed to be out on the streets. But he ended out in them streets, and the result was an innocent civilian getting stomped out and beat up, like a female at that. I always tell people there's no wins with a female to male combat, hand to hand, unless she's a trained jiu-jitsu or a trained boxer who knows how to pivot her feet and throw the punch with the weight of her shoulders and her waist. You know, other than that, a woman has no wins against a man. So for that woman to experience that, and then for that pedestrian to allow that by walking away, you know what I'm saying, the dude scared him off, like ran up on him, like, and this dude wasn't no little dude. This dude was kind of, you know what I'm saying, brolic. And he was hitting this lady with punches, and then he stomped on her and kicked her. And I'm like, man, just because she didn't want to talk to him? Like, the logic in that is unbelievable. And to hear what the mayor's trying to do, I pray that it works, but I don't see no chill button with these individuals, man. And it's sad, you know? Like, it's so bad that you would need a vigilante team to walk around and protect people, you know? And that's why I wish I was there in New York right now, because I got a remedy for that. And I don't mean killing nobody or doing nothing crazy, but in order to deal with crazy, you got to give crazy. That's just it, man. You know, I've ran across individuals that was crazy or mentally disturbed, and I looked them in the eye, looked at their spirit. Because at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's an evil spirit, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I have extensive experience. I've dealt with individuals that killed their children, infant babies and stuff. And I've dealt with individuals that stabbed their parents because of not letting them or not allowing them to watch TV. Excuse me. So at the end of the day, I'm familiar with what's going on and how these guys are running around terrorizing the city. Excuse me, y'all. But I just wanted to touch on that. I don't think the plan that the Mayor Adams is proposing is going to be a adequate, successful plan. And, you know, they need to open up those facilities and open up jobs for individuals to get to work that can work those jobs. Because You need to be a special type of individual to get an understanding with people with mental health issues. You got to understand, you got to know how to identify when the individual is triggered. That means you have to really do your research, and it's good money for people that can qualify to take care of these individuals. It's just kind of like prison because some of these dudes belong in prison, but they're found incompetent and they end up going to a facility where they're being treated, they're being medicated, and they get to speak to a therapist. But I don't know what y'all think, man. Do y'all think Mayor Adams' plan is gonna work? There's a lot of nonprofits that's speaking out on this too, as well, saying that it's gonna be an issue if they snatch somebody off the street that's just homeless, don't have no mental issues, and it's like after you bring them to the hospital and diagnose them with a mental issue, what is the next step? Because in a lightweight way, it's violating human rights, whether the people are mentally disturbed or not. If they don't want to go to a facility, pretty much the mayor's putting a proposal to where they're going to force these guys. So it's going to be a lot of nonsense going on, where people going to be fighting, not wanting to go, and, nobody's thinking about the big picture. Because the big picture is the big picture. But if you're not going to handle it, like I always talk about the razor cut and Band-Aid situation. And it's like, you can't put Band-Aids on razor cuts. You got to stitch that up. But I want to see what happens. I have faith that, hopefully it'll work. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to work. Because, like I said, there's a lot of individuals that's running around everywhere. And, for example, look what happened recently in Idaho. Look what happened recently up in Buffalo and everywhere else. These dudes are psychotic. They're not in the right state of mind, and nobody's out there to help them. So now it becomes an issue because now somebody gets hurt. And it's like it could have been prevented. That's all I think. But hit me up. Let me know what y'all think. This is your host, Mr. C. This is Address That Handling You podcast. And I hope you have a strong, powerful new year. Hope to hear from y'all soon. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Y'all know what to do. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Peace.